Part 2 of Fast Friday with Bryan Kehl goes now. Bryan, I put out a question before the break. As a head coach, if you were a head coach at BYU or anywhere for that matter, how do you handle early camp injuries, both mentally and the stress that comes along with it? How do you handle that?
I don't know. I don't even have an answer for that question, which is why I'm sitting here and not over on the field over there at practice as a coach. That's part of it. That's one of the that's like reason 15 on the list, and there's like 200 reasons of why I'm not going into coaching. But that's a big reason. Injuries suck, and there's not much you can do about it. And it's funny. There's like different philosophies, and some coaches just have no patience for injuries, especially soft tissue injuries. Mm-hmm. And in their mind, it's like, suck it up and play. Yeah. There's nothing, especially you get a coach who never really played that much themselves, and they don't really understand.
Those are the worst.
So in their mind, soft tissue injury, they just think the player is just being a pansy. Yep. They're like, you better not have a broken leg if you're not going to practice today.
Even if you got a broken leg, put some tape on it.
Yeah, Jack Youngblood did it back in the day. You could do it. Just tape it up, spit on it, and go out there and play. My position coach used to say that. Barry Lamb. He told us. He told us. Barry Lamb's crazy. He told us. He said, if you get helped from the field, you better have a broken leg. That's what he said.
Wow.
He said, if you get assisted from the field, you better have a broken leg. That's what he used to tell us.
Well, that says something about Taysom Hill, who did not want to get helped off the field
with a broken leg.
With the broken leg. Yeah. But so B, what would you do, man? Would you, with your philosophy and how you think, defensive minded, go hard all the time, there's no excuses, you got to be physical.
Yeah.
Would you taper back this early in fall camp? I mean, for example, would you have this still go through with the scrimmage on Saturday, but maybe you are shortening up the live periods?
Yeah.
Right?
That's where you and the key is you educate your players. There's some injuries you just can't prevent, but there's a lot that you can. And when guys are rolling around on the ground, that's when the bad injuries happen. That's when guys get rolled up on. So the biggest thing is just keeping everybody on your feet. And, it's easier said than done. It's tough. But it's just kind of educating guys and getting guys on the same page. If you're winning a battle on somebody, you don't finish him.
Right.
That's your teammate. You don't finish your teammate. You just – if an offensive lineman has a defensive lineman in a vulnerable position and he could finish him to the ground, you don't. You just let him up, plays over, you won. Everybody knows it. The coaches can see it. And it takes a level of discipline. It takes a level of brotherhood. Yeah. And just realize, hey, we're not trying to beat up each other. We're trying to beat Nebraska in a couple weeks. We're not trying to beat BYU. This is what Mike Shanahan always – I was in 6 training camps, different coaches, 3 different head coaches. Training camp's terrible in the NFL. But the best coach that I had, for that matter, was Mike Shanahan. It wasn't even close. And he always said this, hey, we're not trying to beat the Redskins. We're trying to beat whoever our week 1 opponent was. And when you have that in mind, the big picture, it's easier to maybe tone it back or do whatever you need to do.
After 1 week of fall camp, and you've experienced this both at the NFL level and at the collegiate level, when you stand back and look at what BYU is right now, how much do the coaches really know about what kind of a team they have after 1 week of fall camp?
I think they know about the guys that they already know, the veterans, but the young guys, I think they're still kind of waiting to see because camp's a grind, okay? Yeah. And that's what coaches are waiting to see. They're waiting to see practice 20 and practice 21 and deep into camp. They're waiting to see who still runs to the ball, who still gives 100%, who still pays attention to the details. If a receiver is supposed to break his route at 8 yards, not 9, not 7, but 8, who still does? It's easy to do that on day 1. But who's still doing that on day 17, day 18, day 19 when they're banged up and they're tired and they're bruised and it's the grind of camp?
That's a great point, man, because that was me. In 2009, I flashed, the first maybe week and a half, and then it got to the point where, you hit that camp wall, right? It's funny because you get out of bed.
Everything hurts.
Dude, there's a time. There's a time. And everything hurts. And you literally go through this where you look at yourself in the mirror, eye to eye, and you're like, "Do I really want to play football?"
Yes.
You played your whole right. Am I right?
Oh, you're right.
You played your whole life, and it does not matter. You have that look, that stare, and that conversation. Where's the camera at? You have that look, that stare, and you're like, "Do you really want to play football? You've been playing football for the last 10 years, but do you really want to play?" You really have. That's how mentally exhausting it is.
It is.
And, dude, I remember it got to the point at BYU where I was trying to get so much sleep where I didn't brush my teeth. I timed it perfectly where I was like, okay, it's going to take me approximately 8.30 seconds, 8 minutes and 30 seconds to get to the team. Okay, if I wake up, I'm going to sleep with my clothes on.
You said it.
Just to get like 3 minutes extra
Sleepwalk
sleep.
to the car, get in the car.
Yes. But that is a great point there is, who can do this when the time comes? Because those are the soldiers I want to go out and battle.
It comes down to the guys that want to grind.
Yeah.
Look, everyone can have fun when it's easy, right?
Yeah.
When it's exciting, it's new.
Day
it's
one,
fresh.
everybody's excited on day one.
Let's go, baby.
Everybody's hooting and hollering and got all sorts of energy, fresh from summer.
Yep.
What about day 12?
Yeah.
What about day 15? What about practice 24?
And I don't care what
Or
it is.
week
I don't care
5.
what it is in life. Football, anything difficult
Yes.
of worth.
Yes.
When it's hard, when you don't feel like it, when you're sick.
Who's still excited?
When guys can still find a way to enjoy those moments, to appreciate those are the guys you want.
Who's still paying attention to the details? To the details. I'm supposed to be a 4-eye, not a 4, a 4-eye in this front. Am I in a 4-eye as a defensive lineman? Okay, as an outside linebacker, my drop is supposed to be 3 yards outside the hash, not 4 yards, not 2 yards. It's supposed to be 3 yards outside the hash. Am I there at 12 yards deep? That's easy to do on day one.
It is. It really is. So let's talk about the scrimmage tomorrow. You already kind of touched base on what the coaches are going to be looking for. But really, what do you think the coaches are trying to look for specifically for this team and on Saturday in regards to the actual scrimmage?
You guys talked about trust with a quarterback and receiver. I think that's what coaches really look for in these scrimmages and in practice and camp. They want to know what guys they can trust, what guys are going to execute the defense, be in the right place at the right time with effort. That's what they're looking for. And the scrimmage tomorrow is just another opportunity for all those kids to showcase that. You talk about flashing. You want to flash? Be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there with enthusiasm and effort. You're going to find your way onto the field.
Brian, we don't have much time left, but I do want to get your thoughts on Sione Takitaki and the fact that he won't play in that first game against Nebraska. How concerned are you about the status of BYU going into that game without Sione as a linebacker?
It sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for us. And that's the thing, I always joke about it with guys now. I joke about it with you. When I leave here in a minute, I'm going to say my joke to you that I say every weekend: don't put the program at risk. I say that joke when I walk out of here. That's what Bronco used to tell us.
Oh, yeah.
He used to tell us that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he still says that, and we used to joke about it amongst ourselves. But when practice ended, we'd come up on a knee and we're leaving. He'd often say it on a weekend. Yeah. He'd often say it if we had a break or if we had some time off and we're going to be away. But he would say, "Don't put the program at risk." And that's the thing. It's unfortunate. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't really want. It's not my business. I don't want to know. But here's what I do know. It's disappointing, and you need guys that don't let the other guys down. Mm-hmm. That don't let the other guys down. And he's one of our best pass rushers. We need him. And it's unfortunate that we're not going to have him. We'll be fine. We got other guys. It's an opportunity for another guy to rise up. Mm-hmm. That's the silver lining. But, it still sucks. And when you're a band of brothers, you don't let other guys down.
Great stuff as always, Brian. Let's do it again next Friday, shall we?
Sounds good.
We are that much closer to BYU actual football against Nebraska, as we profiled earlier. 22 days away from game number 1 against Nebraska.